You've started your New Year's resolution to eat healthier, but you don't want to give up that comforting meal at the end of the day. I understand that and feel the exact same way. I don't always want a bright green smoothie or a bowl of greens. So today's recipe is going to solve that conundrum. This gut-friendly and high-protein lasagna has a delicious tempeh mushroom and walnut ragu, and it also has a really lovely creamy white sauce made by simply blending butter beans and a few additional ingredients. So let's get cooking and I'll show you how it's made. To start this recipe, we've got a quick bit of vegetable prep, and as always, I like to secure my chopping board with some wet kitchen paper or a tea towel. Then I'm going to finely slice one leek. Leeks contain inulin, which is a prebiotic fiber that feeds your good gut bacteria. Since leeks are grown deep into the soil, they're often quite muddy, so be sure to give them a good wash after you've sliced them. Next, we'll finely slice one shallot or onion. They also contain inulin, so they're always a good addition to any recipe. Then I'm going to prepare some garlic simply by crushing and slicing it. Now we'll make the meat substitute for the bolognese sauce using nutritious, gut-friendly ingredients. So this is the tempeh. I just got it from the supermarket and it's absolutely packed with protein. It's got 22 grams per 100 grams. It's also really great for your gut. It's simply made of soybeans, water, and a live culture to ferment it. I'm not a huge fan of tempeh. Something about the taste and the texture puts me off a little bit, but when we grate it really small or get it in the food processor, you can barely notice it's in the sauce, and it adds a nice chewy, wholesome texture. Simply crumble up the tempeh into the food processor, followed by some walnuts, which are great for boosting your omega-3 intake. Then I've got 200 grams of chestnut mushrooms. These are packed with prebiotics. Just crumble them into the food processor. Next, some flax seeds. These are high in prebiotic fiber and also omega-3 once again. That's all for the mix. Just pulse until you've got a rough sand-like mixture. This is going to make a delicious base to the bolognese sauce, providing lots of texture and flavour. Now we can start cooking. I'm just going to heat up a tablespoon or two of olive oil into a large pan, and then we're going to add that nutty tempeh and mushroom mix and fry until it's beautifully golden brown and reduced in quantity. Once it's got a little bit of colour on it, you can add some salt and pepper to start the seasoning process. Then we'll add in the sliced shallots and the leeks and let them sweat down into the mix. This is such a great recipe for meal prep as it freezes really well, and you get about 6 to 8 portions out of the recipe, depending on how hungry you are. Once the veggies are starting to cook down, you can add in your garlic and continue cooking for a few more minutes. Don't worry if any of the mix starts to stick or caramelize onto the bottom. This is a good thing, and we're going to be deglazing the pan later on. Next, I'm just going to add some dried herbs, including basil and oregano. Dried thyme or rosemary would also work great here. Then a good amount of tomato puree, which we're going to cook out to get rid of any bitter flavour and release the natural sweetness of the tomato. Once the mix looks like this, you're ready to pour in the red wine. Just kidding, I don't actually drink, but if you do, feel free to give it a taste while you're cooking. We're just going to reduce the red wine until it's almost sticky and there's basically no liquid left. And if you don't want to use red wine, feel free to leave it out and just use some extra vegetable stock. Next, we're going to add 2 cans of chopped tomatoes and make sure to wash out the can with some vegetable stock so that we don't waste any. Stir through the tomatoes, and then we're going to add a few extra ingredients to ensure this bolognese is packed with flavour and has a lovely satisfying texture. So it wouldn't be an Earthy Goodness Kitchen recipe without adding some good old Marmite. This will season the bolognese and give a lovely rich umami flavour. Soy sauce also works well, or you could use tamari if you're gluten free. Then for a little bit of tang, I'm going to add some balsamic vinegar. So I'm cheating a little bit today. I've got some pre-cooked black lentils. These are called beluga lentils, and they've got about 11 grams of protein per 100 grams, which is pretty good. They're also high in dietary fibre, folates, and even antioxidants, the same sort of ones you get in blueberries and blackberries. So these are a great choice. You could also use some puree lentils or green lentils, or even red lentils would work well. Just pour these in and stir them through. They are already cooked, but I do like to add them a little bit before the end so they can absorb some of the flavours of the bolognese. Just a heads up, the tempeh can be slightly bitter, but by the time this is finished cooking, it should be mostly gone. If not, you can add a little squeeze of agave or maple syrup, which I did here, and this will help balance out the flavour of the bolognese as well. So that is the bolognese ready to go. Give it a taste and adjust the seasoning. I added some soy sauce and an extra good grind of black pepper to finish it off. We're now going to make a delicious white sauce, but doesn't even require any cooking, and it's going to go perfectly in this lasagna. Starting with a healthy amount of cannellini beans or any other white beans, which are absolutely packed with fibre and will make this sauce lovely and creamy. Then I've got some cashews which I've soaked in vegetable stock just to soften them up a little bit. Next, some English mustard and a good grating of nutmeg, which really enhances the cheesy flavour and adds a nice spiced warm flavour. And of course some salt and pepper. I found this absolutely mega salt crystal here, which is pretty cool. Finally, 1 medium clove of garlic, and of course the nutritional yeast for the cheesiness. Blend your cheese sauce until smooth. I gave it a taste and I decided I wanted a little bit more cheesiness, so I added some more nutritional yeast. It was also slightly too thick, so I loosened it up with a little bit of oat milk. And lastly, a squeeze of lemon juice to really enhance the flavour of the sauce. And there you go, you've got a delicious bechamel sauce made in a very untraditional way, and it doesn't require any cooking, which is great. Plus, it's got the added nutrients of 2 cans of butter beans, which you can't really even taste. For an optional extra on this lasagna, which I'd definitely recommend, we're going to make a quick vegan sort of parmesan crumb. Simply add some unroasted cashews with nutritional yeast, a few herbs and spices, and some white miso for that sort of cheesy tang and saltiness. Season with salt and pepper, and we're just going to blend that into a rough sort of sand-like crumb. I like to have a few slightly bigger pieces, which adds a nice texture, and that is your parmesan crumb ready to be used on any pasta dish, or of course on this lasagna. Now for the fun part, we're going to assemble the lasagna in an oven-proof dish, starting with a layer of bolognese, then a layer of pasta, and finally the velvety smooth cheese sauce, and then just simply repeat 3 times. So I cooked this for my family the other day, which includes a couple of meat eaters, and they absolutely demolished it. They really loved it, and they couldn't even really tell that it didn't contain meat, so that is always a good thing. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think about it, and hopefully you can impress some friends and family with it. Once you've finished the 3 layers, we're going to finish it off by sprinkling over the nutty cheesy crumb and bake it in the oven at about 190 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. Once it looks like this, oh wait, not that one. That's better, golden brown on top, a few bubbles may be coming through, and you should be able to slip a knife easily through all the layers to ensure the pasta is cooked. This lasagna contains about 30 grams of protein per portion and around 12 grams of dietary fibre per portion. Finally, let's give this a try. I've been smelling it cook for the last 30-40 minutes and it smells incredible. So let's give it a go. Wow. That is actually so good. I honestly think that tastes better than the meat lasagnas I was making before going vegan. The butterbean cheese sauce has an amazing velvety texture and it actually tastes really cheesy and nutty despite not having any cheese in it. And then you've got that amazing bolognese. It's got loads of flavour from cooking down the mushrooms and the tempeh, deglazing with the wine, and then adding in all those other ingredients like the marmite, the lentils. The lentils add a really nice chew to it, which is good. And then there's a really lovely crunchy topping on here from that cashew and nutritional yeast sort of parmesan that we made. Definitely give this a go and let me know what you think about it in the comments section. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check out this one for more plant-based goodness.